Welcome to the first lecture of this unit 1 in the course on signals and systems. Okay, so in the last lecture we had discussed some of the background for studying this course, that were just basic things that we discussed. Now today we are going to start the first unit. So the first topic in this first unit is the different types of the signals. Okay, so the meaning of signals we had already discussed in our last introductory lecture. Now the different types of the signals, although there can be many types of the signals on the different basis, but broadly the signals can be classified as the continuous and discrete time signals, periodic and aperiodic signals, energy and power signals, even and odd signals. So these are the major types of signals. Obviously there are some special type of signals which we will discuss as the need arises. So let us first start with the continuous time and discrete time signals. So the continuous time signals are they are characterized by the independent variables that are continuous, and they define a continuous set of values. That means the signal is defined for all the continuous time values. Okay, so you can see the example from these waveforms which are shown here. There are three different signals, and on the x-axis, if this x-axis represents the time, most of the time the independent variable will be a time. Okay, so you can see that this signal is continuous at any point on this time axis. If you take a point, you can see that this signal is having a certain finite value. So that is the meaning of the continuous time signal. On the other hand, if you see a discrete time signal, then these type of signals are only defined at the discrete instants of time. Okay, so again you see these signals which are shown here in these waveforms, that these signals are only defined at certain specific instants of time. It is not a continuous signal as we had seen previously. Rather, it is a discrete signal. It is only defined at certain different instants of time. Like at first instant it is having some particular fixed value, at second instant it is having some other value, at third instant, fourth, fifth, and so on. So one of the important things is that in between these time instant the signal is not defined. Okay, so that is the difference between the continuous time and discrete time signals, that a continuous time signal is defined for all the values of time, and contrary to it, a discrete time signal is only defined at discrete instants of time. Next type of the signal can be periodic and aperiodic signals. So again, you might be familiar with these type of signals as well. The periodic signal is, as the name is suggesting, it repeats itself after a certain period of time. So the signal waveform is going to repeat itself after a certain specific interval of time, and that interval of time after which the waveform will repeat itself, that will be called as the fundamental time period for the signal. Okay, so the periodic signal can be a continuous periodic signal or a discrete time periodic signal. So both of these two types of signals are shown here in the waveform. The signal which is shown above is a common sinusoidal signal which you all are familiar with. So this is a continuous time periodic signal, and obviously you know that the time period of this sinusoidal signal will be equal to 2 pi. So after an interval of 2 pi, this waveform will repeat itself. And on Below, the signal which is shown, it is a discrete time periodic signal. Okay, so why it is called discrete? Because it is only defined at discrete instants of time, but you can also see a pattern in this signal that it is actually repeating after a certain interval of time. So that is why it is a discrete time periodic signal. Okay, so these are only one or two examples. There can be so many numerous examples of periodic and aperiodic signal. Just by looking at the waveform of any particular signal, you can tell whether it is a periodic or a non-periodic signal. So non-periodic signal is generally defined as a signal which is not periodic. Okay, so simply a signal which is not periodic in nature, we call it as a non-periodic signal. Non-periodic or aperiodic, it is the same thing. Now these are some more examples of the periodic signal. So the waveform on the left side, you see that this triangular waveform, it is having a period of t, and after a period of t, this waveform is repeating itself. The pattern is same, the pattern is repeating. Similarly, the two waveforms on the right side, the top one is called the sawtooth type of wave, it is a periodic waveform, and the bottom one is a square periodic wave. The waveform is square in shape, that is it's called a square periodic wave. So all these waveforms are periodic in nature, and you can very easily see the time period of the waveform, the fundamental time period after which this is repeating itself. Okay. Now although we'll discuss the separate examples as the need will come, but two of the specific examples I am going to discuss at this point. The example for periodic signals is the exponential signal, is this complex exponential signal. Okay, the reason why I am discussing it at the starting, because these are some very common types of signals, these exponential signal, and very frequently we encounter these type of signals in these signals and systems analysis. Okay, so first of all, let us consider this complex exponential signal. This is a continuous time exponential signal e raised to the power j omega naught t. Okay, so this will be periodic only if xt equals to xt plus capital T. Obviously this capital T will be called the period of the signal. Okay, so the important property of this exponential signal is that it is periodic for any value of omega naught, and the fundamental time period for this signal, it is t naught equals to 2 pi over omega naught. Okay, so that is the important property of this continuous time complex exponential signal, is that it is periodic, and the value of the fundamental time period is 2 pi over omega naught. Similarly, there can be the discrete time complex exponential. Okay, e raised to the power j omega naught n, small n. So I should tell you one thing, that just to differentiate between the continuous time and discrete time signals, what we do is to take the variable for the continuous time as small t, and for discrete time the variable at most of the places will be small n. Okay, so this is the difference between the continuous time and discrete time signals. So at most of the places, if you see the variable as small t, that will mean the signal is a continuous time signal, and when the variable will be small n, that will mean the signal is the discrete time signal. Okay, so that is also the case here. It is seen that this e raised to the power j omega naught n is a discrete time signal because the variable here is small n. Okay, so this is So one of the important property of this discrete time complex exponential signal is that it will be periodic only if this omega naught over 2 pi is a rational number. Okay, so that is the difference between this continuous time and discrete time exponential signal, that the continuous time exponential signal is periodic for any value of omega naught, whereas the discrete time complex exponential signal is periodic only if the ratio of this omega naught over 2 pi is a rational number. Okay. Now we come on to the properties of the periodic time signals. Now the sum of the periodic continuous time signal is not necessarily periodic. What will it mean? It means that let's suppose that there are 2-3 signals which are given, and each of the signal is periodic. So it is not necessary that if you sum all these 3 signals you get a periodic signal. Okay, the signal will be periodic with a period t if and only if this condition is followed: t over ti is equal to ni. Okay, now this ti is nothing but the period of the ith signal in the sum, and ni should be an integer. Okay, so you can also solve this for the solution for the first signal in this sum. If you pair this with each additional signal, you will get t1 over ti is equal to ni over n1. Okay, so the equivalent and necessary condition for the sum of the periodic signals to be periodic is that all the ratios of the periodic all the ratios of the periods of the first signal in the sum to the period of the another signal in the sum should be rational. Okay, so let's suppose that if there are an expression consists of 3 terms. Okay, and the periods of all the 3 signals are given to you. So what you have to do first, you have to evaluate the ratio of the first signal to the successive terms, that is the ratio of first and second and the ratio of first and third. So the necessary condition for the equivalent sum to be periodic is that each of these 2 ratios should be rational. So for evaluating the period of the summation signal, you can follow these steps. So first of all, what you have to do, you just have to find out the ratios, the different ratios which I had just discussed. Then you have to factor the greatest common divisor from the numerator and denominator of each individual ratio. That will be the second step. In the third step, the LCM of the denominators of the resulting ratios is the value of n1, small n1. And then the period of the signal can be computed as you just multiply the value of t1, capital T1, by this small n1. Okay, so this is how the period of the signal can be calculated. We will see in a numerical problem ahead that how this is going to be calculated. And one more important thing is the sum of the discrete time periodic signal is always periodic. Why? Because the period ratios n1 over ni, they are always rational, because you know that the discrete time signals are only defined at discrete instants of time. So this will always be integer values n1 over ni. So that is why the sum will always be rational only in case of the discrete time periodic signals. Now we see the problems based on the periodicity of the signals. Now let us suppose this problem is given: xt equals to x1t plus x2t plus x3t. Okay. Now the period of the signals are given as x1 4 seconds, x2 1.25 seconds, and x3 is 2 seconds. Now in the very first step, what you have to do, you have to evaluate the ratios t1 over t2 and t1 over t3. So t1 over t2 will come out to be 4 over 1.25, that will be 16 by 5, that is rational. And then you calculate the other ratio t1 over t3, that is 4 by root 2, this is coming as irrational. Now since this t1 over t3 is coming as irrational number, then the condition for periodicity is not followed, and that will mean this equivalent signal xt is not periodic. Similarly, the next problem you can see that xt equals to x1t plus x2t plus x3t. The period of the different signals are given as 1.08 seconds, 3.6 seconds and 2.025 seconds respectively. So again, for the first step you have to calculate the different ratios t1 over t2, that is 1.08 divided by 3.6, this is coming as 3 by 10. In the next ratio t1 over t3, this ratio is coming as 8 by 15, this is rational. Now what you have to do, you have to find the value of this small n1. So if you recall what I explained, what was the second step is to find the LCM of the denominators. Okay, so one denominator is 10, the other denominator is 15. The LCM of the denominator of 10 and 15 will be 30. Okay, so this will be the value of small n1. Then you find out the period of the signal by just multiplying this LCM by the time period of the first signal, that is t1. So 1.08 multiplied by 30, that will give you 32.4 seconds, that is the value of the period of the signal. Next, consider one more problem. These are discrete time signals which are given xn equals to x1n plus x2n. The values of x1n given as 90 seconds, the value of x2n given as 54 seconds. So since there are only two signals, you calculate only one ratio, n1 over n2, that is coming as 5 by 3. Obviously this is coming as rational, and the LCM will be equal to the denominator value 3, and then the fundamental time period you can calculate by just multiplication of this LCM with 90, that is coming as 270. Now next you consider some more examples of exponential signal for the periodicity of the signal xt equals to j e raised to the power j 10t. Okay, so if you can just reduce it to a standard form of a complex exponential e raised to the power j omega naught plus phi. Okay, so that will give you the value of omega naught as 10. So this is a continuous time periodic signal. The fundamental period will be 2 pi over omega naught, that will be equal to 2 pi over 10, and that will be equal to pi by 5. In the next problem, the discrete time complex exponential is given xn equals to 3 e raised to the power j 3 pi n plus 1 by 2 by 5. So again, if you reduce it to a simple complex exponential signal, this will just reduce to the form as shown in the problem, xn equals to k times e raised to the power j omega naught n. So this will generally imply simple mathematics rules. Then the value of this omega naught will come out as 3 pi over 5. You just compare it with the standard expression. So if you recall that this discrete time complex exponential, it is periodic only if the omega naught over 2 pi should come as rational number. Okay, so if omega naught is 3 pi by 5, then omega naught over 2 pi, that will come as 3 by 10, which is obviously a rational number. Okay, so again, if you go back to the slide where we had discussed the discrete time exponential signal to be periodic, so omega naught over 2 pi is coming as rational number. That will mean the signal is periodic and the fundamental period will be equal to the value of the denominator, that will be equal to 10. Now next class of signals are energy and power signals. Okay, so it is a general practice in signals and systems to evaluate the energy and power of a signal. So that is somehow different from the normal power which you had knew up till now. So for a continuous time signal, the energy can just be evaluated as xt square dt with the limits minus infinity to infinity. And similarly for discrete time signal, it can just be, the integral will just be replaced by the summation sign. Okay, and similarly for power also, so power can just be obtained by dividing the energy by the interval, the total time interval of the signal. Okay, so if the signal is defined from minus t by 2 to t by 2, the total interval will become as t, and if the signal is defined from minus t to t, the total interval should be 2t. Okay, so similarly for discrete time signal, again the integral will be replaced by the summation sign from minus n to n and divided by 2n plus 1. So obviously that will be the total number of samples if you include 0 as well. So for a signal to be energy signal, the energy should come as finite value. Okay, so the value of energy should be between 0 to infinity. Only then a signal will be an energy signal, and power should be equal to 0. Okay, so for an energy signal, the energy will come as any finite value and the power will come out to be 0. Okay, similarly for a power signal, the power will come as finite and the energy will come as infinite. Okay, so that you can also see with the relation, because the energy and power are somehow interrelated. So if the power will come as a finite value, so energy will obviously be infinite, because the integration is over an infinite time interval. Okay, so this is the conclusion of this, that a signal with finite energy has 0 power and a signal with finite power has infinite energy, and a signal cannot be both power and energy signal. So it can be either an energy signal or a power signal, it cannot be both at the same time. But at the same time, there is some exceptions, there are some exceptions as well, that there are signals which are neither energy nor power signals. So this is only the theory which we had discussed for the energy and power signals. In the next lecture, we will solve some numerical problems based on these energy and power signals, so that you will get some more idea about how these two things are calculated in the numerical problems, and how to determine whether a given signal is an energy signal or a power signal. So that is all in this lecture. We'll discuss the next topics in the coming lectures. Okay, thank you very much.